A lot of us like to point the finger at everyone else for why we are where we are, and we don't realize the part and the role that we play in our suffering. Believe it or not, you play a part in why you are where you are right now. Your life is a collective of decisions that you have made. Yes, things have happened to you that were out of your control, but you have contributed to a lot of the things that have happened to you. You have contributed to a lot of your suffering. So figure out what role you're playing in it and figure out what you need to do differently. Hey girl, welcome back to the channel. If you're new, my name is Trinity and I am so excited about today's video because girl, it's October, which means it's Q4, which means 2025 is right around the corner. Okay, we're about to talk about how to get your life together before 2025. If you're not new to my channel, you know that I like to give very practical and simple tips for whatever topic I'm talking about. So that's what this video is all about. If you're interested, make sure you keep on watching. If you love content like this that helps you to become your best self, just helps you to elevate in all aspects of your life, make sure you subscribe. It's not too late to get your life together. It's not too late to start whatever you're trying to start. It's not too late to make this year great. It's not too late to go out with a bang. Now, before we get into the tips, which are very good by the way, if I do say so myself, I want to give a huge shout out to today's sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Skillshare, the largest online learning community for creatives. If you're not new to my channel, you've already heard of Skillshare because I've mentioned them so many times. They offer thousands of classes led by industry experts across things like film, photography, graphic design, illustration. And I love Skillshare because it's not only art focused, they have classes on so many other things like productivity, personal development, finance, and just about any hobby you can think of. Now, I have personally dibbled and dabbled in a few things on Skillshare. I took a class with Nedra Tawab where she shared exercises to help you build a life that you love. I've taken one of Ali Abdal's classes on maximizing productivity, and I've even taken an interior design class by Demetrius Robinson because your girl has been trying to upgrade her space. And let me tell you, the classes on Skillshare are always very thorough and in-depth. Like, you will walk away feeling like you actually learned how to master a skill. And no matter what your current interests are, Skillshare has a class for you. I mean, they have classes on cooking, instruments, like several different instruments, starting a YouTube channel. There are so many classes to choose from. And they also offer learning paths where you can really hone in on different skills and hobbies. So I'm always recommending Skillshare to people who are just trying to explore new passions and find new hobbies. That's literally one of the simplest and most effective ways to elevate your life, upgrade your life. So I want to encourage y'all in my community to start a learning journey on Skillshare today. The first 500 people to click the link in my description will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. So if you're ready to find or explore a new passion before 2025, make sure you click that link and start your free trial with Skillshare today. And without further ado, let's get right into the tips. My first tip is to purge your closet. I think purging is very necessary, especially when you're going into a new year, because I'm a firm believer in the fact that you shouldn't always be carrying a bunch of old things into new seasons of your life. If you're one of those people who like to hoard clothes, put a stop to it today. Okay, go through your closet, try on different things. If you can't fit it, if you haven't been able to fit it in 6 months to a year, let it go. Okay, let's be realistic here. If you have not worn the piece in 6 months to a year, I say get rid of it. Let's just say a year, because I know some of y'all probably like 6 months. If you haven't worn the item in a year, let it go. If you've only worn it once in a year, let it go. And I'm not saying throw it away. You don't have to throw it away. You can donate it. You can take it to a consignment shop. I don't know if they have like Uptown Cheapskate and Plato's Closet everywhere, but that's where I typically take my clothes and Jack's clothes when I'm trying to just get rid of stuff. You can sell it on Mercari. If y'all need a Mercari referral link, click the link in my description because your girl is always selling stuff on Mercari, okay? And I love selling stuff on there because they don't have any seller fees. I used to sell stuff on Poshmark, but Poshmark takes so much of your money. It just wasn't worth it to me anymore. So yeah, I'm a Mercari girl now. And stuff sells so fast on there. Like, I've had items sell in less than 24 hours. I like to sell a lot of Jack's old shoes on there and just anything that I don't really care for anymore. But yeah, if you have a whole lot of like trendy stuff that you just look at and say, oh, this is nice, I just don't want to let it go, but I never really wear it, or I find myself not feeling like I can wear it often, let that stuff go. Like, make space for new things. My next tip is to declutter your space. Now this is kind of similar to the first one, but we're not just talking about your closet. We're talking about that linen closet in your bathroom. We're talking about under your bathroom sink. We're talking about under your kitchen sink. We're talking about that junk drawer in your kitchen, that little room you're using for storage, that closet you're using for storage. Declutter all the things. Your trunk, hello, I'm talking to myself with that one, because when I tell y'all nothing else fits in my trunk, I can't even tell you what's in there. There's just stuff everywhere. Declutter your spaces. I actually decluttered under my bathroom sink the other day. I don't know if the vlog is coming out before or after this video, but I did it in a vlog, and I felt the need to do that because my mind was like all over the place. I find that when I declutter my space, my mind usually follows. You don't want to go into 2025 with a cluttered mind. You want to go into 2025 with clarity. You want to go into next month with clarity, next week. So throw stuff away. Again, stop hoarding stuff. Stop holding on to stuff that you're not going to use, stuff that you have not used in God knows how long. Let the stuff go. And when you declutter, you make room for more. When we're going into new seasons, we want to experience new things, new people. And in order to do that, you have to make room. My next tip is to start getting active. I started to leave this one out because I feel like a lot of people incorporate this tip when they're talking about stuff like this. But I feel the need to say it because a lot of people, when we hit this time of the year, they think, oh man, I said I was going to get in the gym and I haven't. It's already October. We got 2 months left. I might as well just wait until January. No, you might as well not wait until January. Start right now, because it takes, how long do they say it takes to build a habit? 30 days, 30 days. Some people say 21 days. You need to do it consistently now so that you can ensure that in January, you're already on it. You already got the ball rolling. You're already consistent at that point. So by January, it should be a lifestyle for you. And this can be applied to so many different things, but it's so important to stop waiting until the beginning of the year or the beginning of the month, the beginning of the next week, and just do it now when you're thinking about it. You're gonna be so much further at that time than you are right now. You haven't done anything right now. Just because you set a goal to lose 50 pounds in 2024 doesn't mean that you can't start right now in October and do what you can do in these next 2 to 3 months of 2024. Maybe you're not going to lose the 50 pounds, but you might lose 10. You might lose 5. That's so much better than where you are right now. Get in the gym, take a Pilates class, a yoga class, whatever it is you need to do to get active. That's why I always say get active, because not everyone wants to go to the gym. Not everyone has the same body goals as me. Start running in the morning. Start taking walks after work or before work. Just get out and move your body. Even if it's for 20 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day, do more than you're doing right now. My next tip is to evaluate your friendships and your relationships. Again, the only way to be able to welcome newness is to get rid of old things. I'm not saying get rid of all your friends. I'm not saying just dump your boyfriend just because. No. You need to evaluate those friendships and those relationships and decide whether or not they're actually serving you. Decide whether or not you need to change how you've been prioritizing them, because you don't always have to cut people off. Sometimes you just gotta move them down a little bit on the priority list. You might have some people up here who need to be down here. Maybe you need to start focusing more on yourself. Maybe you're in a relationship and you love that person way more than you love yourself, and you don't practice self-care at all. You need to increase your confidence. You need to start spending more time with yourself so that you can get comfortable with yourself. Maybe you need to do all those things. So take time, even while still in your relationship, to pour into yourself and to focus on yourself. Are your friendships no longer serving you? Do you need to have conversations with some of your friends? Like, do you need them to show up for you in a new way, a different way? This is the part a lot of us don't like about friendships and relationships. We don't like communicating with the people we claim we love. We change as we grow, especially if these are friends and partners that you've had since you were a lot younger. You change as you grow, as you get older, and you have to be able to communicate those changes and those new needs with the people in your life. My next tip is to set a realistic savings goal and create a realistic plan. Now that we only have 3 months left in the year, your savings goal might need to change a little bit. Like if you started the year saying, oh, I want to save $10,000, and you haven't saved nowhere near $10,000, you will have to alter that a little bit. Like I said, a lot of people look at the goals they had in the beginning of the year and they say to themselves 10 months into the year, it's looking like I'm gonna have to just start fresh in January. You don't have to do that. Alter your goals so that you can actually get something done this year. Like, don't let this year go to waste just because you got a real late start. Now, don't let this happen again next year, but also don't sit here and do nothing. No, you might not be able to save $10,000 in these 3 months. Well, maybe 2.5 by the time y'all seen this. But if you have zero saved right now, saving $500 by the end of the year is not a bad idea. Saving $200 by the end of the year is not a bad idea. Now, let's take into account that you probably didn't save that $10,000 because you had the goal, but you didn't have a plan. You never sat down to figure out how much you could actually put aside each week or each month to be able to reach that $10,000 goal. So now that you have this new goal that might be a little bit lower, you need to figure out how much you need to save each week or each month to be able to reach that new goal. That's the key to accomplishing any goal, whether it's financial or something else. You gotta have a plan to go by. You can't just have the goal and just be like, okay, hopefully it happens. No. How are you going to take action? What are you going to do to make sure this actually happens? Now, while we're talking about planning for success with your goals, let's move on to the next tip, which is set your goals for 2025 and come up with a plan of action for each one. Like I said, this is probably the thing that you missed in 2024 when you set your goals. You probably just came up with all these nice ideas and you didn't sit down and figure out what you needed to do to actually accomplish all those things. So let's do it right now. Write out what you want your life to look like. And you don't have to come up with a whole bunch of different goals. Like, maybe start with 3 things, like your big 3. What are the 3 things you desperately want to get done in 2025? Don't overwhelm yourself trying to come up with a whole paper full of goals. Stick to your big 3 for right now. And then when you want to add more, add more. But after you figure out what those 3 most important things are, create a plan of action. Do some research if you need to. If you want to fix your credit, do research on how you're going to fix your credit. Do research on how much you need to pay towards each credit card bill in order for you to get that credit score by a certain time. Do research on what you need to do to start that business. Do research on how much money it takes to buy the house that you want. We always come up with all these goals and overwhelm ourselves because we have no idea how to get it done. We don't know how to break those goals down into smaller goals. That's called the compound effect. We often look at the big picture, underestimating how much of a difference small steps actually make. Small progress is still progress. You don't have to go straight from A to Z in order to be deemed successful or productive. My next tip is to create routines. I always talk about routines and structure on my channel because this is something that people need to hear over and over and over again until they actually do it. If you are one of those people who feel like you don't have enough time in the day to get all the things done that you need to get done, you probably lack structure. And I know because that was once me. You feel like you don't have enough time in the day because you're not managing your time wisely. And I know somebody's probably thinking, well, girl, you don't know all the stuff I got going on. Yeah, you're right, I don't. But I also know that all that stuff you have to get done doesn't have to get done in one day. You don't have to do everything on your to-do list for the week on Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, whatever. You need to pick a day and pick certain tasks that need to get done on each day. These are your routines. You should have weekly routines, things that you do each week. You should have daily routines, things that need to get done on specific days. You should have a morning routine, a night routine that you follow, especially if you're a mom or just a busy woman in general. You don't want to be trying to cram a whole bunch of stuff into a little bit of time. There are a lot of things I have to do at night, that way I can have a nice slow morning, and so I'm not rushing in the morning before I got to take Jax to school. There are some things I have to do in the morning before I leave out, and I have to make sure I have enough time for those things, which means I need to wake up at a certain time. You know, all this stuff goes into account, so you need to make sure you are creating structure for yourself so that you're not burnt out and stressed out all the time. And this is the key to productivity. And last but not least, I want you to reflect on this year so far. Reflect on what went well and what didn't go so well. And you can literally write down anything. I want you to write this down on paper. On one side, write down what went well, and on the other side, write down what didn't go so well. And figure out what you need to do in the next year to have a different outcome by this time next year. Again, we're not waiting until January to make the changes. We're gonna start the changes right now. All the things you need to do differently should be habits by January. If you haven't progressed at all in your relationship, write down those concerns. If you don't feel like you've been a great friend, or if you don't feel like you've spent a whole lot of time with your friends, if you would like more girl time, write that down. If you had any big wins, write write those down. If you feel like you lack patience with your kids, if you're a mom, write that down as well, because these are all things you want to actively be working on every day. And these are things that you do not have to put off until the top of the year. Reflection is so important. I always talk about taking accountability on my channel, on Instagram, TikTok. This is something that I preach all the time, because a lot of us like to point the finger at everyone else for why we are where we are, and we don't realize the part and the role that we play in our suffering. Believe it or not, you play a part in why you are where you are right now. Your life is a collective of decisions that you have made. Yes, things have happened to you that were out of your control, but you have contributed to a lot of the things that have happened to you. You have contributed to a lot of your suffering. So figure out what role you're playing in it, and figure out what you need to do differently. What has worked and what has not worked? Have you been in the same cycle of relationships? Have all your friendships turned out the same way? Are you always beefing with people every other day? Maybe there's something wrong with you that you need to change, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, nobody's perfect. Only time it's bad is when you do not acknowledge that and recognize that and admit that and take accountability and do the things you need to do to change that, so that you can have different outcomes. I know this video was probably a little short for y'all liking, but it's Vlogtober, so I'm posting 3 times a week. That's why I'm trying to keep them a little short, that way y'all can keep up. But if y'all are enjoying the video so far, let me know. If you have any big goals that you are going to start now for 2025, comment down below and let us know. I want to hear them. As always, thank y'all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.